Well, good morning. So, I'm on my way to Pennsylvania to drop off Mom, and I am on this route that if you go back to and look at my videos, you're gonna find a story called "The First Greatest Road Trip" video series or whatever. It was like 5 or 6 or 7 videos of me telling this story about the road trip that I was on, and it followed this route that I'm on now, which is 30 from Dallas up to 40 through Tennessee up to 81 into Virginia, and the truck broke down, blah blah blah. Go watch the videos, because I think I'm a pretty good storyteller, and other people do too. So I shared the story there. But it got me to thinking about the other 2 greatest road trips I've ever taken, and I promised when I made those videos I was going to tell those stories. So I decided to go ahead and tell the second greatest road trip story I've ever taken. So a little bit of background, and this may be what the first video is on. A little bit of background on this story. It is about 2004, and well, I'll start straight. 2004, my great grandmother passed away. Grandma Goldie. Grandma Goldie was an amazing woman. Very strong. I've always had very strong women in my life, which I'm blessed to have. Most of the time it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse. And I may or may not ever get into that. But anyway, so my grandma Goldie passes away, and my grandmother and grandfather, they fly up to Idaho, because that's where she was from, Twin Falls, Idaho. They fly to Twin Falls, Idaho, and they to take care of her estate. Now, at the time, my grandfather had been suffering a series of strokes, and I think a lot of the family kind of urged him not to go and to kind of leave him at home. But my grandmother felt like she could not. She was worried about him, and my mother and my uncle taking care of him while she was gone. So she insisted that he go to Idaho with her. So they go to Idaho, and they were up there about 6 months. I moved into their house, stayed at their house to kind of take care of the house and everything. And they were up there about 6 months trying to take care of my great grandmother's estate. And they kind of while they were up there, my grandfather had another series of strokes. Being at a higher elevation or whatever didn't help him, and he eventually became bedridden. So my grandmother calls me up one day, and I told me she may need me to come to Idaho. Well, I had a job. I was working. I was trying to get myself on my feet and everything, and kind of get out ahead. I was going to go become a truck driver. That was my next step. I was delivering parts for Napa Auto Parts out of Duncanville, Texas, and was going to go, and I was going to become a truck driver. I had contacted Stevens Trucking and was going to get in with them, and I was ready to go when I lost my job at Napa. And my grandmother called me. She said, "Hey," she said, "you lost your job, and you come to Idaho." I said, "No, I'm going to go be a truck driver." Well, she leaned on me quite a bit, was crying on the other end of the phone, and so I felt guilty, and I went to Idaho. And I get to Idaho, and I was there for about 6 weeks, kind of backing everything up, and we made arrangements, and my uncle came up to help me drive the U-Haul truck back. And it wasn't just any U-Haul truck; it was the biggest U-Haul truck you could get. My grandparents were hoarders. They hung on to everything. Matter of fact, my grandmother has been dead for 8 years now. We're still working on trying to clear her house out. And that's more about my mother not wanting to, and less about like the work that it takes. But it's, you get to a point where you realize your stuff owns you. You don't own your stuff. When you realize that, you kind of change your ways. So anyway, so I fly up, and I'm there for about 6 weeks. I'm packing everything up and everything, and my grandfather, of course, was kind of bedridden at that point. That he was allowed to. He stayed in a nursing facility while he was up there, and then when it was time for everybody to go home, to fly home, we went and picked him up, and my grandmother and my uncle and my cousin Denise flew up to Idaho to kind of help, like, the last week while we were there. And they get up there, and my cousin kind of helped pack it up and everything, and my uncle helped pack it up and everything, and you know, they went, and then my cousin and my grandmother and grandfather all flew back to Dallas. So, and they helped get my grandfather set up and everything. And I had been, my great grandmother Goldie had specifically asked me about 5 years before. She was like, I don't want anybody else driving my stuff back. I want you driving my stuff back to Dallas. I know that it's going to have to go back to Dallas. I want you to come up. I want you to drive the truck. I'm like, okay. She's like, promise me you're going to drive the truck. Okay, I promise. You know, of course, you know, I figured it was going to be 10, 15 years before that ever happened or whatever. She was all right. You know, you promised, you got to do it. Okay. So, of course, I ended up doing it. So we rented, you know, my grandparents bought a minivan while they were up there. And we rented the 26-foot U-Haul truck. We got the little car trailer to go behind it and everything. And so we get it all, you know, we get to the point where my grandparents are going to the airport, and my grandmother was very specific about how she wanted things packed. So she wanted everything to be packed in boxes. She wanted a note taken, like what was in each box, and then have a label put on top of the box and a sheet put in the box. And it had to be handwritten. Couldn't be typed out, couldn't be copied. We didn't have a copier at the time. And it was tedious. It was time consuming and tedious, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of knew that a lot of this stuff probably would never see the light of day for a long time. So I kind of went ahead and did it while she was observing me do it at that point. And when they flew out, my uncle and I are standing in the airport waving, you know, bye, see you later, bye. And I kind of leaned over to him and said, listen, we're not going to do the whole BS about, like, packing it up and labeling it all and blah, 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 that Grandma was insisting we do before she left. He goes, oh, no, we're not doing that. No, I was like, cool, all right. So we get back to the house, and we took boxes and just started dumping them. Like, so we take a drawer out, turn it over into a box, and label it, you know, and like kitchen drawers or blah, 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 you know, kitchen utensils, you know, bathroom drawers, bathroom stuff, blah, blah, blah. That was all we did. We threw it all in the back of the truck. We left a big pile of stuff there. Some cousins up in Idaho took care of getting rid of it and everything. But we left a big pile of stuff up there. And we headed out. You know, we took off, and that was, well, we get it all packed up and everything. We get the truck stuffed and the, you know, and whatnot. And, you know, we get the van loaded up. And in order to get the truck in, like, my great-grandmother's house was different than everybody else's house at that time, like, or in that neighborhood. So my grandmother's house is set further up on the street. And you can still see it. I can't remember. I think it's on Twin Falls Drive it's on Twin Falls Drive on the east side of town. And it's different than all the other houses. So all the other houses were set much further back and had long driveways. But my grandparents' house, my great-grandparents' house up there, didn't have a long driveway. It was set further forward, a lot further forward. So you back the truck in, and the front of the truck is sitting out in the middle of the street and everything. And so you have to kind of, so we had to deal with that. We had to put I think we put something out so that everybody could see that we were trying to load this truck up, because you couldn't load it the way the driveway was and the way the garage was. You couldn't load it with it backed up all the way to the garage door. You had to load it, like, you had to pull it forward and load it. And then, of course, we had to figure out how to load the minivan, because we had driven the minivan back to the house. We had to figure out how to load the minivan, so we get the minivan in, bump, and everything. And so anyway, we get all figured out, get everything packed up, get all stuff in the truck, and we take off. So, and I'm going to stop it here because it's almost 10 minutes. And that's the first part of the second greatest road trip that I ever took. So it's going to be about Twin Falls, Idaho to Dallas, Texas. So anyway, I'm trying to head up. See you guys down the road. I'll record.